welcome to Tanked Up, episode 201. I'm Ben.
Whoa.
I'm here with Aadil.
Hey!
And our special guest, Carl Marshall. Hey, Carl, how you doing?
Hey, I'm not too bad at all.
Good, good. Slightly laggy on the video for those of you tuning in on YouTube, but hey, you can still see our beautiful faces. Doesn't matter how fast we move, does it?
No.
Nah.
Good. Let's crack into some beers. Carl, what are you drinking first?
Have a guess. Brought one of our own, didn't I? Since moving over to Salopian Brewery.
Yes. Update for people who listened to the last episode you're on.
Well, I left Twisted Barrel Brewery in Coventry
Yeah.
late last year and moved over as a brewer to Salopian Brewery over in Shrewsbury. They've been going for at least 25 years now.
Wow.
Make predominantly cask beer. Yeah, a long time. Predominantly cask beer. They've been making kind of craftier black range beers for probably about 4 years now. But they're trying to kind of reach out a little bit more in the kind of craft sense. They've got their bread and butter now. Well, we've got our bread and butter now. Kind of all our core range cask beers seems to be selling really, really well. So
Yeah.
time to fix up.
Nice. I've definitely seen, is it Bubble? And another couple around maybe the last, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months maybe. Around and about quite a lot.
We seem to be popping up a lot more places now. So that's good. That's a good sign.
Nice. So the ones I've seen have all been in cans, but what you seem to have is a little bottle.
Yeah, some of our black range goes into bottles. It's the traditional 500ml style, so probably not what you're really used to seeing. Kind of the craftier bottle. And the one that I've got here is Blood Orange.
Nice.
It's, a lot of Blood Orange concentrate went into it. And it's a nice kind of golden, almost straw.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Hazy colour beer.
Nice. On brand with the glassware as well.
Yes, of course. Have to.
Good. Right, you stick your nose in there. Aadil, what are you cracking open?
Ooh. I am having the Yonder Goose.
Ooh.
Inspired by the wild gooseberries that we discovered growing in woodlands close to the brewery, Goose combines those tart, fruity flavors with Cornish sea salt for a delicious take on the German goose. I said German because I was thinking Goza. Fuck that up. It is a lofty 6.8% at 375 mils, and it doesn't tell us what the malts and hops are, but the last two ingredients are indeed gooseberries and sea salt. Yeah, I got this from Place in the thing. Beer and coffee and beer over in Clifton.
All right, nice.
Well, in Cottam, I should say, because it's on Cottam Hill.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Haven't
That
had a
sounds-
Yonder in ages, so I saw it and I was like, cool. And also, we're hitting spring, and something in me was like, let's just propel to summer, have a nice, more sour beer, and pretend like we are in better weather than we are.
That's fair. Yeah, you've got to do it sometimes, just to feel good. I am gonna crack a beer from Polly's. This is the Oat IPA, Confidentially Lost. It is 5.8%, and it has Chinook, Citra, and Simcoe. Malts are extra pale, torrefied oats, naked oats, and the wheat. Oh, and wheat. And the yeast is SO4 and Windsor. 2 yeast strains in there. 5.8%. So again, seen a lot of new beers from Polly's, and with it being a nice little bright, colourful can, I thought, yes, I'll have that one. It's definitely for children, isn't it? Obviously.
Very Polly's are very good at their hazy style beers.
Yeah.
It seems really knocking them out of the park, to be honest with you at the minute.
Yeah, they do, and they seem to be iterating quite a lot, and they've gotten themselves into that cycle as well, where they're kind of, a few new beers every couple of weeks, if not kind of weekly, really. So constantly seeing new beers from this lot, and they're always good. So I'm definitely on to a winner with this one. We'll come back to you, Carl. How is how's the beer? Was it Blood Orange IPA?
Yeah. I'm not going to say it's
that
bad.
A Bo Whipper?
Face. Yeah, it's
Boipa. It's a Boipa.
Yeah. I mean, it's only 5.4%, so it's a nice kind of sessionable drinking beer, to be honest. 500 mils is just about right for me at the minute.
Yeah, that's fair.
That'll do you for a good evening then.
So
Yeah,
can I ask, with the blood orange versus like an orange or a grapefruit, so obviously blood orange is not so tart compared to grapefruit, but is usually not as it's got some sweetness. But what to you and to this beer, what is the blood orangey like impact on the citrus? Does it actually like is it exemplary of blood orange versus other citruses, or what are you thinking about that beer right now?
It's more pithy, if that makes any sense. Probably a little bit zesty as well. If I remember right, we dry hopped it quite a bit as well. So the kind of malt backbone and the dry hopping balance it out quite really. So it's not an in-your-face blood orange,
Right.
IPA. It's very subtle. It's very well balanced.
Nice.
Does that make sense? Or
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Okay, cool.
Does it give you?
I'd
I
probably
would say with that sort of that pithiness and kind of that little kind of zesty note. Does it have a bigger kind of bitter finish on it as well? Because it kind of sounds like it's starting off a little bit in that area and running right through. Does it build on it, or does it kind of maintain it all the way through?
I haven't had it for a couple of weeks, to be honest with you. So it's the first time that I drank it. The more that you drink it, the more pithy and slightly bitter it gets. But it's quite. There's no hot bitterness really.
Okay.
It's more a kind of pithy, acidy kind of taste that you would get from the blood orange more than anything else.
Nice.
Yeah, good. Aadil, we'll jump back to you.
Oh, I should drink this beer instead of just staring at the screen.
Is it the Goose?
Yes,
the
the
Goose.
Yonder
The
Goose.
Goose.
The nose
you had that
is...
style before?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Have you had that style of beer before? Or?
I've had Goses. I've never had I don't think I've had a gooseberry beer before.
Yeah.
Oh, and Canadian side note, the gooseberry is known as the Saskatoon bear for no reason whatsoever in the colonies. And also not the whole colonies. Just Canada.
Just Canada.
Yeah. So the nose is a little sweet. Like you get that standard tartness that you're expecting from a Goza, but there's a sweetness, like a light, kind of like when someone sprinkles like white sugar on top of a thing, and the first hit, because of just that like top layer, you get that like, oh, it's sweet, and then everything else happens. That's kind of what the nose is doing. This is like, it's sweet, no, it's not. Every time I nose it's like, sweet, no, sweet tart. Oh, sorry, I think my computer just killed itself. Nah, we're good. Yeah, cut this out, don't cut this out. It is really wet. Like it is. There's almost no density to the liquid. It's just a really like it's as thin as water. And actually, the nose and taste are really well married because there's a mild sweetness, and then it's just like a really light goza. Like it's got a tartness, but it's not offensive. It's not going to put you off if you aren't used to sour beers. Well, if you're really not used to it, maybe. But I was expecting. So it's actually, I think the gooseberries are holding it away from the tartness. Even just like gozas aren't super, like they're not sours, right? But this is remarkably light in the sourness. Like there's a tart note, it sits, but it's like normally on a goza the tartness is here and it's like 2 steps below, but it's steady, does go away, and because of that, the mouthfeel is again just kind of wet, but the finish is kind of drying, right? Like the tartness just doesn't leave, so it leave like I'm going to be drinking this really quickly because I'm going to feel like I need to drink. Which is interesting because it's not a in-your-face tartness, but it just stays there, and then I'm like, I'm all on the finish, and it's like, well, the sweetness is gone. I have this tartness. I feel like I need something in my mouth, so I'm just going to have another swig. But again, it's a really well-balanced sweet and tart ratio. The only thing is that the sweetness leaves really quickly and the tartness just doesn't, and so again I get this like mouthfeel isn't drying out, but the taste feels like I'm being dried out, so then I'm just going to reach for another sip.
Yeah.
It totally sounds like a summer drink.
Yeah, and Yonder, I think, tend to do, or the beers I've had from them, they do tend to sway that way, don't they? To be a little kind of lighter, and they sort of almost live in this, not this middle zone. They kind of, yes, a lighter in colour beer as well. They kind of live in this middle zone where they, I don't know whether it's because of sort of like the farmhouse yeast that they use, but kind of everything is an interesting example of like the style they're going for. I don't think anything I've ever had from them you would instantly say, right, oh yes, this is this kind of beer. Like they marry flavors together very well to create something super interesting and very kind of experimental, but it is always or at least it feels towards that lighter end of beers, like definitely. Their summer spring sort of beers.
Yeah, again, everything that's going on is just like you said, a light, nuanced take. Nothing's in your face. This is why I'm saying, even though there's a tartness that lingers that makes me want to sip more, it is like 2 steps below what you would expect from a lot of other brewers. It's just an easy drink that, because of that sort of tartness that lingers, you're like, maybe I'll have another sip. It's just, and again, it's not one of those like, oh, I'm parched, I'm feeling dried out, I need it. It's like, I'll take another swig. But also because the sweetness curve and the tartness curve are different, that also pushes me to be like, oh, right, I liked that interaction of the sweet and tart. So given that I'm like, another swig, I'm like, also I get to experience both those things again, and then I get, it's nuanced is, I think, the right word, How about you, Ben?
I'm enjoying it. This the Polly's Oat IPA. It's kind of different than I was expecting from an oat IPA. It is super thick in the way that it looks.
But it's also very yellow.
Yeah, it is. Barely any head to it. When I poured it, there was a little bit, but it disappeared really quickly. I was expecting maybe a little bit more viscosity in the mouthfeel based on how it kind of looks, but there is a little bit there. It kind of is slightly carbonated as well, and throws this bitterness sort of at you right at the start, but it's not it's not harsh bitterness. It's kind of almost, you're getting a little bit of fruit, and it's kind of the bitterness you kind of get on a melon as well. So I'm getting a little bit of kind of melon fruit flavour first, with a little bit of bitterness in there as well, and that slight carbonation along with it makes it a very interesting kind of experience, slight viscosity, a little bit of carbonation, and this bitterness kind of up front make it seem just a bit, I don't know, the first kind of impression is a bit like, this is an odd combination of things going on right now. But the more I drink it, the easier it has become. And I guess the more accustomed I have got to that combination of things going on. And it kind of stays the same all the way through. The bitterness subsides very slightly. The fizziness, the carbonation at least, goes quite quickly. But that melon sort of fruit flavour sticks all the way through.
Can I ask what kind of melon, to be the pedant in the room? Like, are you talking about like? No, I just mean like so like is it just like that watery notion of that you get like with a honeydew, with a slight sweetness, or like a watermelon which has a very distinct thing that's watered down, or is it like something like a cantaloupe?
It's more like cantaloupe, I think. Yeah. It's edging on that sort of more bitter side. Definitely, it doesn't have, say, like the sweetness, the wateriness that you get from like a watermelon. It's again not quite sort of honeydew. It's definitely moving more towards that bitter kind of cantaloupe side. I mean, there's probably other melons that it does match exactly the taste, because there's about 5,000 different types of melon. So I'm not going to precisely. No, probably not. There's like, I don't know, 6, 10. I have no idea.
What?
Melons, 10 melon types.
So if you go to like something like the Asian horned melon, for example, it's much more bitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know like 4 melons. So watermelon, honeydew melon, cantaloupe, melon.
Keep going.
No, that's it. No, I don't know anymore. The one you said, the Asian horned one, which I've never experienced before in my life. Let's move on from talk of melons and this beer, which is good, which I'm enjoying, and which has disappeared very, very quickly. That's all I have left.
Oh wow, yeah, that's like half.
I mean, yeah, I've definitely drank half of this can already. It was light. It's only 5.8%.
I was going to say 2%. What?
Yeah, no, completely misread. Read the 5 backwards.
So it hasn't affected you at all, as well.
No, not at all. It's the heat. It's hot in here. That's why I'm blaming it on. Carl, as our guest, what would you like to come to us and discuss this week?
Oh, I don't know.
There's a lot of things that have gone on, haven't there?
Or did you just put him on the spot?
No, we've sort of chatted.
Yeah, there's one gaming thing, and then there's one beer thing that I probably want to talk about, if that's okay.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Let's get the beer thing out of the way, because we're still talking about beers. The Portman Group.
Yes.
Lovely. I won't say attack. I don't know what the word would be. Decision.
Do you want to just give a background on what the Portman Group's role is for people who might not know?
I honestly don't really kind of understand their role, to be honest. From what I could work out, they're a separate entity to any kind of government organisation. They're their own identity that focus on beer labels and
they're like an independent
regulator. Yeah.
But are they government funded though?
This is where it gets a bit weird.
Yeah, are they like a quango or whatever that term is?
The key here is that regardless of funding, there's no government oversight, so they're independent in the oversight. That's the integral thing.
Well, say independent, they're actually made up of a group of loads of big breweries. I think Heineken are also on board with them as well. There's a group called CNC, I think, who own a few breweries as well that are on that. And they basically chair a meeting if they get any complaints about images or names from beers that have been on the supermarket or independent bottle shops from people, and they put pressure on the supermarkets or the bottle shops that are selling them, as well as the breweries, to change logos or change the labels.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my understanding of it.
Yeah, they're like quote unquote independent oversight, so that the government doesn't have, like, at some point Brewing came up with this as a solution, so the government didn't have to like is at least the like very loose story on how this came about.
Yeah, and in my eyes, it's pretty much what trading standards should be doing in the government organisation. Me personally, I don't really see a point for it, but I understand that there's a need for it, and people should be taking note of beer labels and what is offensive to certain people, whether or not it needs to be regulated in a different way. That's my opinion on it. So there's two breweries that have basically they've came out and said that they need to change the labels and names. So one is Lost and I think it's running with Spectres beer.
Running with Scepters. Yeah.
Scepters, because they do two, don't they? They do a Halloween one.
Yeah, I think they're running with Scepters is a lager.
Nope, it's a Baltic Porter.
No, running with Spectres is the Baltic Porter,
right.
and Scepters is the lager. Yeah,
you are correct. I misclicked. It's an IPL. It's an Indian Pale Lager.
Yes.
And its logo. I mean, its can art is a bunch of animals like a pelican, a penguin, a tiger, and a polar bear, literally holding up scepters.
Literally, I can't see anything wrong with that at all. And the other one was Purity, for the word lawless across their cans, which is one of their beers as well. Once again, apparently both of these complaints have been made by one person, like individual people, but
not the same person for both.
Yeah. It's only took one complaint to actually, for this group, really to put pressure on the supermarkets to stop these beers, and it's a bit
So from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, but like someone complains and then this Portman Group says, we will look into this, and then they make a decision and say, you should change your thing, and as a member of the group, you have to change your thing. And so,
from what I understand, yes.
So with the running with Scepters, it's a beer that's been around for 3+ years almost.
A while.
Since inception. And has had.
It was one of the first 4 beers they brewed, I think.
Yeah, and it's a beer that they are very successful with, and has been around for years, and has had 0 complaints. And I think, they had the reply, right, which was essentially, this is really profitable for us, and it's been around for a while. We kind of disagree with the decision and the fact that you, based on one complaint 3 years in, are now making us change things, because this will fuck us, because it's one. Because let's be honest, like, how you make money as a craft brewer is you make interesting things, and then if something takes, you hold on to that, because the average beer consumer just wants to have the same thing every day. And so there is always going to be a beer or two, which is the staple beer of your brewery, as a small brewery, that makes your bread and butter, and that allows you to do things more seasonally, if that's what you want to do, or just not at all. And some breweries don't do that, but like, that's a very standard approach, is these are our sellers. We'll make them consistently, and then we get to do the fun craft things. And maybe another one will hit, and maybe we'll rotate what the hits are out if we get lucky enough that the world likes more than one of our beers. But like, you go back 5 years, and Dead Pony was exactly that for Brewdog, right? Like when they were small. Like it just people glommed onto it, so they just kept making it. Like, and that helped that brewery make itself not a small brewery anymore. And that's kind of the MO. And so, from what I read, the reply of Lost and Grounded, which was essentially, this is one of the things that keeps us afloat. We don't think it's marketed to children, but also one person complaining 3 years in shouldn't be the point where someone suddenly we're in trouble. And if you decided that this is too cartoony, it kind of misses the point of what a beer aisle is, essentially.
I think the thing that frustrates me as well is the fact that there's so many sexist, misogynist, you know that word, beer labels, beer names out there as well. Go on, someone say it for me.
Misogynistic.
There you go. Beer names out there, and like with all the labels and the branding and stuff. Why aren't they getting targeted for this kind of thing? And then,
absolutely.
Well, I mean, I guess there's a question here, which is like, what is this label police force looking for? Is it just, could kids be confused or parents be confused and buy it for kids? In which case, cartoony art is just never going to work. But of course, craft labels are a thing, and like some of them are more cartoony or more esoteric and more vibrant. But if it's actual policing of labels, then they're not doing their job, because if we care about what it is that like the industry is putting forward, we should care that some of these things are shitty. Like misogyny is a big problem. But it's what I don't know, because I have not done the research, is what is their job? Are they just doing does someone complain about kids, or is it any sort of complaint and they're choosing which things to pick up? Because
I have a theory.
Ooh.
And it is, I mean, it is complete conspiracy theory at this point, because I've got nothing to back this up whatsoever. But
just call them
currently, you have a body which regulates advertising in the beer industry, made up of larger companies. They do not want government interference into what they are doing.
Yep.
These larger companies do not want anyone else telling them what they are able to do or not to do. So they are essentially using the oh no, this is bad because it's aimed at children argument, because who doesn't get on board with things, you know, not being aimed at children when they shouldn't be? You know, it's a very easy win with the general public, with lots of other people to say, hey, we stop this being aimed at children. I mean, I would completely throw all responsibility on A, the child, B, the parents, C, the shopkeeper, but in the other order, because the shopkeeper should know the products he has and not sell them, and all of those sorts of things. But this is why perhaps, you know, we're not seeing the moves towards maybe misogynistic labels and you know, sexist kind of advertising and those sorts of things being you know, for them to kind of come down on, because it's an industry currently dominated at that level, I would imagine, by men who want to keep it very similar to how it is and not have that government interference, essentially.
I mean, this is why I wanted to bring up, is it about like general notions of branding and what should be done or what shouldn't be done? And I don't think it is, because of exactly what you're saying, right? Like, if it's just, oh, think of the children, then the children aren't going to have a beer because there's some sexy lady. So all that shitty advertising just isn't being policed in that way. But then I think it's incumbent on anyone who's part of this group to be like, hey, if you are the stewards of good branding, you have to pay attention to these things. And if you're not, go fucking die in a fire, because you're just a third party we've all agreed on. And I actually really respect. I don't think this is why Lost and Grounded have just said no, but I really respect them saying, I think you're wrong, and I'm not going to change my brand. Like, no, you're wrong. Because this oh no, think of the children argument is so stupid in the modern age, where there's enough regulation on who can buy alcohol that there's just, like, what is the worry that, like, there's a slightly cartoonish artwork on a thing, and then a parent goes into a store and they walk in and they're like, oh, there's the beer fridge and there's the non-beer fridge, and then their kid's like, hey, I want this thing, and they're like, I don't care what fridge it's from. Sure, it has a cartoon. It must be for you. And then because of that, they buy the thing and they get their kid drunk. Is that really an argument that we think makes any modicum of sense? Like,
I completely get you on that point. It's like, I'd have a problem if beers with such labels weren't actually in the beer aisle.
Yeah.
In the supermarket. Or if you walked into an independent box, they sold soft drinks and everything like that at the same time. But a lot of places are clearly labelled, and a lot of places do have a Challenge 21, Challenge 25 code now.
yeah.
It's where it might be appealing as a child to look and grab a can with cartoon on it. It's also going to be appealing for a child to stay up late and watch adult cartoons with swear.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And there's no third party independent body there going around knocking on your door and telling that kid to, or telling the cartoon makers.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. We don't seem to have this issue in advertising of films and trailers, things like that. With okay, some films there is a what would you call it, like a certification board, which might say that your film is at this age. Same with games. Your
but
game
we also have, like, in
is
trailers,
to this age, sort of thing.
Sorry, in trailers you have the green band and the red band trailer.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's clear. And that labeling of the red band trailer, even just watching this advertisement for a movie isn't acceptable. That's the same thing as saying beer fridge. Like, it's just that simple, and it's not... I just don't understand the argument that one... So, two things. One is, like, it could be fucking the Teletubbies on a goddamn can of beer. It shouldn't matter because it's a can of beer. That's the world we live in, is that beer is regulated to the point where you can't easily fuck it up. Well, that's my opinion, right? But the other part is what. So that's the one thing, and the other thing is, and I think Lost and Grounded in the response, I didn't read the one by Purity, but, like, one person complaining seems like a really weird threshold, especially given that we know that capitalism exists.
Yeah.
Like, that's why you get the conspiracy theories, right? Like, Lost and Grounded is taking some of my market share. Cool. They've got a bit of a cartoon label. Why don't I just complain? Because all it needs is one anonymous complaint, and they get fucked. That's really weird.
There's nothing stopping anyone else complaining about any other brewery at all. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those where what's the criteria for what is kiddie? You know, if they just going to, oh yeah, there's animals on it. It's obviously, you know, could be construed as being for children.
Vibrant colors are not for adults. Adults should only have dreary beige.
Yeah. Greys. Just all the different tones of grey.
Well, that's what adult is, though, isn't it? Grey. Boring, dreary grey.
Like the sky most of the time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It just seems ridiculous, doesn't it, really? Obviously, people like Tiny Rebel have been hit by this previously as well.
Yeah.
And so this is what I find interesting, because, like, Tiny Rebel's art is more cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also very beery.
Yeah.
And like, this is why, you know, it's just not a real thing, because none of Tiny Rebel's very cartoony art seems kid-oriented. But you look at Lost and Grounded, and they have just a steady artistic motif. Like, all their labels have the same sort of art, and it's all fine, and it's been around for years. And so,
absolutely.
Like, I'm actually just really disappointed in the regulatory body to not understand, like, hey, it's been around for a while, no one's cared, and this is just one instance of exactly what they've been doing the whole time. Forget the fact that this particular instance has been around for 3 years, but, like, it looks like everything else they've done and no one cares. So if you think it's a problem, you have to say all your labeling is a problem, and you haven't said that. So basically what you're saying is someone complained, so we're worried, and we just are gonna make you, or try and make you change your thing, and fuck you. And I'm glad that the response was a very tempered fuck you. Right? It was like, no, this is really important to us, and we disagree, and it's been around for a long time, and we haven't had incidents. And again, I think they didn't say this in their response, but I think it's really important that this is a complaint of, one person has said, I'm worried this might be detrimental to kids. It's not the same as saying, oh my god, this got sent, like, some kid bought this, or some parent bought this because they thought it was a kid drink. That's not what happened. What happened was a particular person complained that this might be a thing that kids could accidentally get access to. And that's entirely different. And then the longevity of the 3 years of it not being an issue makes a lot more sense. Because no one was harmed. No one was in jeopardy of being harmed. It just someone had a state-based action.
How do you know that?
Because what triggers the dispute is, I'm worried, not this happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so I don't care if some lady who lunches is worried because something is super cartoony. I'm worried when, like, harms happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Maybe
fair.
that's the point where they need to realise the Portman Group need to take a step back and go, actually, is this really causing harm and an offence? Or...
Oh, I just had a great idea. They have a logo. What if we complained to Portman Group that their logo was not sufficiently adult and could be construed as kid-friendly? What would they do?
They just say, no, you're wrong, sorry. Yes, we've had one complaint, but we have decided that it is fine. Right, Carl, have you got any final thoughts on this before we move on?
No.
That's fair. It's time to move on then. I did see you had a little can knocking around there. What you got? What you got?
Me?
Yeah. Is that a little can I saw?
Got a couple.
Ooh.
This is from a brewery up north. County Durham. Called Mccoll's. I don't know if you heard of them at all.
No, I haven't.
I haven't, no.
No. Really nice brewery, really nice people. I've only had a couple of their beers before, but I haven't had this one. It's called Lady Mar, and it's the best bitter in a free 30ml can.
Ooh.
So I'm quite interested to try it. And I thought I'd probably crack it open now. It's 4.5, well, 4.4. I'm just reading the label now. Classic sweet, full-bodied beer. Caramel malt dominates the flavour. Light touches of spicy rye, deep citrus hop notes, and a long bitterness. So it sounds right up my street, and it's a low ABV, so it sounds good for me.
Nice. Yep.
Can you just show off that that can art to those of us on video?
Please do not complain about it.
So I'm not sure the video will resolve really well, but it seems like it's very like structurally like there's like two tones and some like strong angles.
Yeah. It's got a kind of pinkish red background, and there's basically block lines going all the way.
Yeah.
All the other cans that I've got a little bit different as well, so it's not all. But they've all got the
nice.
Mccoll's logo down the front as well. You can tell it's them. They're very much. You can tell they're in part anyway. But yeah,
awesome. While you pour that, Ben, do you have another drink?
I do. Are you not? You're not quite ready?
Oh no, I was just throwing to you because that's how we've been doing this thing.
Well, you opened second, so I was expecting you to go next. That was all. Just do it in order of the first, but I will open my next one. This is a beer from Atom.
Oh.
I haven't had a beer from Atom yet. This is a new brew for me, although I've seen them around.
Really good.
For a little while.
I haven't had anything from them. Yeah,
this is. It's his critical temperature. It's a coffee porter, 5.5%.
Interesting.
Doesn't have a huge amount of info on, but it does tell me that aroma and flavour, fresh coffee, dark chocolate, and treacle.
So as someone who didn't grow up with treacle, because I grew up with maple syrup, because I'm a real person. So treacle is just sweet syrup.
Yeah, it's like maple syrup.
No, it's not.
Well, it is though.
Hey. But like, it's literally just like sugar in syrup form. Yeah.
Yes.
That's like maple syrup, though, ain't it?
No, maple syrup has a mapley taste, which is why it's excellent on waffles and pancakes. There's a very big difference between generic syrup and maple syrup, and it's actually just in the name, maple.
That's actually from a treacle tree.
Yeah.
A treacle.
Yeah, treacle.
Very, very good. I'm pouring this. I've poured it awfully. There's a ginormous head on it. So, Aadil, what have you got next?
I have a topical beer. It's from a brewery that we may have mentioned earlier. It's called Lost and Grounded. And it's their Czech Ignition Raspberry and Cokie Nib Porter. And in true Lost and Grounded fashion, no flavor text. But also, unless kids love skiing, this can art is not going to get kids out of the fucking convenience store because it's just fucking mountains. So a raspberry and cocoa nib porter. So I have a feeling what notes they're looking for, but I'm not entirely sure if I'm correct. While I pour this, Carl, do you want to tell us about the beer that you cracked and what it tastes like?
Yeah, sure. So it's a nice kind of golden, dark gold colour, as you would expect from a best beer. It's quite earthy, really, in the aroma, and very malt led. quite chewy. Not much bitter in there, to be fair, but it's very kind of well balanced with the malts, with the aroma as well, and very, very stringent. So I can see this really drinking a whole pint of this. It's really, really nice in can, but I can imagine it's even better in on can.
Right. Yeah.
Have you found?
Actually, there you go. Okay, I found a bit in this now. It took a while.
Fair enough.
I think it's my taste buds. The fact that I'm still ill.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Have you found since moving over to Salopian, you're drinking more sort of cask beers? With them doing that kind of beer a little bit more as kind of like their core sort of stuff, or is it not kind of, has moving to another brewer changed kind of like your drinking habits at all?
No, I always drank cask a lot.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's probably one of the main reasons why I took the job with them, because I really respect them as a brewery. I'm really fond of what they do. Followed them for a long period of time. Always enjoyed like traditional cask beer when it's served right and when it's done brewed right. But also at the same time, I've really enjoyed kind of new age craft beer.
Yeah.
So I really do think that I'm like this kind of weird enigma where I do like 50-50 of everything.
I mean, I think that's the right way. Like, I mean, the point isn't to assume one's better than the other. It's the continuous
and I'm so I do like different styles of beer, different times of the year, and I drink impy stout in summer. I drink sours in winter. You know what I mean? So it's like I feel quite privileged in the fact that I'm quite surrounded by really good breweries. I can easily access them, and my taste buds kind of appreciate pretty much anything that's brewed well. To be honest.
I mean, I think that's the thing we've all here at Tanked Up have also sort of got to. Like, I remember 3 years ago when Lucy, Ben, and I were both like, the fuck is the point of sour beers? And now, like, let me taste the sour. It's like, God, this is really good. Like, you need to look this one up because it's super interesting. Because, like, yes, we have our individual taste. So, like, my contrast with you is that I grew up in North America and casks don't exist. So I find non-keg beer weird on the outset because I just didn't grow up with that.
Yeah.
But I have appreciated cask beer, and I also I really like being able to taste a beer that is cask and keg, like being able to like taste the difference, like, oh, this is super interesting, and also I get why this beer is better in cask or this beer is better in keg. And the weird thing is, like about a year and a half ago, I was in Vancouver on a Ponzi craft beer pub crawl, and one of the places that one of their claims to fame was they were the only place in basically North America that could serve a cask beer. And I was visiting from England, and I was like, I'm not paying extra for fucking cask beer. What is wrong with you? It was hilarious, but also shows like how much of this is just what you're used to. Because they could sell it as a novelty, like less bubbles, different way of treating it. This and some beers are better this way, and I'm like, yeah, I get that. I'm not paying you $3 more to learn that. But like everyone else would pay that $3 because they've never had a cask beer. And it was like, right,
Did you actually try it though, or?
I actually did because I had to know, right?
And was it any good?
No, it was fine. It was just a cask beer. It was like nothing remarkable. It was like, yep, that was right. Just $3 to the wind. Fuck this. But luckily, exchange rate wise, it was like £2.50. No, like £1.60. It was £1.60 at the time. I can throw that away. Anyway, but yeah, I like. It's interesting how much of this is, even when you sample all of the things, how much of it is just like, I grew up, like, this is the way I got used to beer.
Mm.
So I'm always going to have a predilection now.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that there aren't beers that are better in one way or the other, or there aren't excellent examples in one or the other, but a lot of it happens to just be good beers made in both ways, and what I like is usually more keg like veering because I'm used to that.
Sure.
Yeah. That's fair enough. That's completely fair enough.
So that was a diatribe. I think, Ben, you haven't told us what your beer tastes like.
Yes, you're right.
And left
But
and center.
you can probably imagine. Yeah, I mean it's super dark, as you would think.
It almost looks black in that lighting. Like it doesn't have. Any
it doesn't have any brownness at all. Even here, I'm not getting anything at all.
Like in middle school,
a little bit of brown on the head rather than being sort of a white head, and lots of coffee in the nose. Yeah. Loads of coffee in the nose. Oh. It's. I mean, it was a porter. It has a wetness, a thinness in the mouthfeel to it, which kind of allows the flavours to flow quite well.
What's the ABV?
5.5.
Okay, yeah.
The coffee comes in straight away. It's nice and chilled. It's very, very light. It's not like a bitter coffee. It's a coffee flavour, but not all of the elements that you get, say, when you drink a coffee. There's not a huge amount of bitterness to this. There's not that kind of earthy note to it. It is just kind of very not quite iced coffee, but it's kind of edging towards that lighter end of things.
Right. Yeah.
Is it quite fruity? Almost citrusy, maybe. Limey.
There is a very slight element of that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I think that's hidden towards right towards the back. So as the coffee starts to give way a little bit, other little notes start to come through. So yes, a little bit of lime in there, and it starts to give a little more of that kind of chocolatey feel to it as well, or that chocolatey flavour to it as well. They are absolutely kind of sort of second fiddle to that kind of big coffee note. And yes, the coffee does start to disappear slightly to allow these other things to come through, but it only disappears to a point, and then it sticks around. So yes, the coffee is kind of big as that first note, lose a little bit, but then it doesn't go anywhere else, and I'm left with this very, very pleasant coffee flavour with a slight little bit of sweetness from some chocolate going on in there as well. I think everything else kind of goes, hey, we're here, and then just disappears very, very easily into the rest of it. It is coffee. It's coffee. If you're not a fan of coffee beers, you'll probably pull away from this. But I think this is absolutely fantastic. I love coffee, and this is just it's hit just exactly the right notes. It's absolutely doing it for me this evening.
You got to be up all night now.
I mean,
I can't remember whether it said the ingredients, whether there is coffee in it. I would imagine there is. No ingredients on there. Just says gluten and barley as allergens, but that is it. So, who knows? I mean, I'm up most nights. The little one's coughing her lungs out as well, so I'll be up anyway. So might as well be wired while I'm up.
Yeah,
Hey?
fair enough.
Have another one.
Yeah. I think I do have another coffee stout downstairs that I could very quickly sink into after this one.
I'm going to be honest. If you are looking for a caffeine vector, coffee porters are not the most optimal one.
No, you're right. Yeah, I probably wouldn't start my day off with one.
I would, but that's because I'm an alcoholic.
Aadil, how's your beer?
So I forgot to say the Czech ignition is 5.4%. So on the lighter side of porters, lighter than even yours.
Yeah, only just.
Boy, so it is a dark brown. It poured with this lack of head. Like it's just a thin feeling porter. The nose is lightly cocoa, like very light, slight hint of sweetness. It smells a bit like when you walk into a really deep cafe that does espresso, and you get that hit of espresso.
Yeah, that waft.
But it's so light. That's what this is. Like you walk in, you're like, yeah, coffee exists here, but like not glue. But it exists here. And there's a slight sweetness, but that's it. Like it's a really light nose, but if there's anything, it's a hint of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
It's again, I've waxed too much about this, but like I like a heavier porter. This is a 5.4. It's also really thin viscosity, but boy does it have it's not even a coffee. It's like the cacao with the slight difference between coffee and cocoa, I should say. That's what the finish is. It's like, nope, you've had this. Not super in your face, but it's just like all the beer goes away, and it's like you had something that was just doing this. I'm a little disappointed in the lack of the raspberry. I was hoping, like, everyone's had a raspberry chocolate or a raspberry coffee type thing, and the reason why is because there's a slight tartness, but mostly sweetness of raspberry that like just offsets the coffee in your faceness, and it's here, but it's very limited. So all I'm getting is this like, yeah, you have cocoa nibs in here and some sweetness, and I was hoping for a little more nuance in that sweetness to like offset it, but it's kind of like the cocoa nibs, all they're doing is like, yes, there's a coffee taste, and then when that fades, you're like, I had something. Like I was hoping for more nuance, especially from someone like Lost and Grounded, who normally do really well nuanced beers, but like, it does. So on the nose, it does that raspberry note really well, subtle but there. On the taste, it's there, but it's not putting in a lot of effort.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like it feels more like a generic sweetness that fades, and then your finish is long, which I appreciate. But it's like, again, like a generic coffee finish. And there's a slight sweetness that sort of tails off mid-finish, and then it's like, yes, you had a coffee-ish pour. But like, I just... the advertising told me something... Sorry?
It sounds like a beer that you need to constantly sip all the time. Just keep going.
And like, I'm notorious for saying I love long tasters. I like a beer that challenges me and makes me like have to pace it the right way. And a beer that's And so this is the exact opposite, which is like forgive the term, the interactivity is like within 5 seconds of a sip, and then that fades, and then it's just sort of bog standard. So if I want to like do that, I'm gonna have another sip, and then I feel like I'm being forced to drink the beer rather than wanting to drink the beer.
I think
so
that's completely different to the McCall's one, the best bitter that I've just had. It seems like the more that I drink it, the more that it tastes of the best bitter, and the more I want to drink. So I'm going to be quite disappointed when I run out. But
yeah, you want that beer that challenges you to drink more, but at a pace that isn't aggressive, I guess. Because you want to be like, the reason why I'm drinking this is because I'm wanting to have this, not I'm kind of bored. And I guess that's where I'm struggling with this beer, because there's just not enough going on that the fleeting thing that's going on is like, I'll keep necking it. But like, you know what you generally don't want to seek out if you want to neck a beer is a fucking coffee porter. Like, that's just does not, like, there's a disconnect there.
Yeah. Have your beer like taste changed then in the aspect of that? Like, have you found that you're drinking more sessionable beers now?
No, actually, I'm real bad for being like, I don't see the point of a porter or a stout that isn't 6%. That's who I am. Because like those styles like they evoke this notion of like strength, and when the ABV just helps push that through. And every time I have like a 4 or a 5% porter or stout, I end up feeling like it's watered. Like the taste just doesn't go far enough. But when you add that extra percent, like that's what like the longevity. So this has longevity, right? Like I get what the taste curve is doing, and it does it for a while. But when you try and like do it with a light ABV, it just sort of stops short. But because stouts and porters are sort of heartier tastes, I find that really just like it's just unsatisfying. It's not that I want to get drunk. It's that when I want to have this heartier taste, what I want is something that has a long finish. Where you get a long finish standardly is just a little more alcohol so that it carries those tastes through. And yeah, you can call me alcoholic. That's fine.
I guess you like that robustness of a lot of the beers.
Exactly. So like, I can kind of forgive a session IPA doesn't do all the things for an IPA that I want. But it does enough of them that I'm like, cool, I get what you're doing. But for some reason, just on my personal preferences, when you do these light ABV porters and stouts, it doesn't do enough that I'm like, yeah, I get what you're doing. It's a bit lower, but that's fine. I get it.
Yeah.
So and again, obviously, tastes are subjective, but it's just a wall I consistently have hit. Like, I've had hundreds and hundreds of beers, and it's just always the case that you're a great brewery, I love you, you do a 4% porter, and I'm like, nope, like, I get what you're trying to do, it just doesn't work. Like, because I think one of the reasons why I like porters and stouts is because they have the hardiness.
What have you got there, Carl?
Just a little beer.
Are you gonna crack that right now, or do you want
to? I feel like you've kind of, I don't know, woke me up a little bit by talking about robust beers and high ABV. That sort. And I was like, oh well. Considering it's just come out, it's worth a try. It's I had one of the other Brewdog ones. So what was it, the Hazy, or which is taken over from the Hazy?
Yeah.
In Tesco's, and I had the West Coast IPA by Modern Times and Brewdog. But unfortunately, the Roaster Coaster, Brewdog and Evil Twins, Imperial Nitro Vietnamese Coffee Stout on the shelves at the time. But my lovely wife just picked a couple up and just passed it me.
Nice.
So
YouTube viewers
okay.
will have actually witnessed the handoff.
I have told her that I don't feel too good as well, and I have to be up early in the morning. So
And she's just gone, nah, don't worry about it. Just drink through it. Just drink through it. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's a testament to a good partner.
So, yeah. I'm debating. Yeah,
Don't feel that you have to.
Why don't you continuously debate, and we can go into a topic which we like. Oh, actually, did you talk about your gaming topic? I think we.
Oh no,
we didn't get there yet.
Yeah, we didn't get there. Like, this is excellent.
Well, I'm a massive fan of Final Fantasy games, and the Final Fantasy VII remake was released yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I left it downloading overnight, coming from work, and had to eat and stuff like that, and be on here. Sorry, no offense. I haven't had time to play it yet.
Oh, no, that's fine. So that's actually a really good segue, because I'm really bad at playing video games, and I wanted to play this and didn't, in the same boat. But luckily, Ben has played it. So
yes, I have.
Final Fantasy is by far my favorite franchise, period.
Yeah.
Like Doctor Who, less than that. I'm saying franchise, period.
Yeah.
Nope. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, above that. But yes.
But Final Fantasy's up there. It's really high. Yeah.
I just realized that. So I, in middle school, fell asleep to the radio plays of Hitchhiker's Guide every night. So, like, I didn't play FF, 5 or whatever it was at the time. Like, I can't actually do that kind of thing. But I'm super stoked about this. I, for various reasons, didn't get to play the demo when I found out about it. And boy, do I want this to be a good game.
Yeah, let me... How do I start this off? I mean...
Can you answer one question first?
Yeah, of course.
I guess it probably doesn't actually get to that point in a demo, but is there materia in the game?
That's a great question.
There is materia in the game. And you'll be able, I would assume you'll be able to swap in and out various materia and do certain combinations as the original game. I didn't find any or pick any up in my playthrough, and I don't know whether that is just because it's the start of the game essentially. I can't remember where that then comes in the original.
So let's just assume everyone has played some version of Final Fantasy VII. If they're not, boy, is this never going to be exciting for them. What is the scope of the demo?
So the demo takes you from the start of the game where you are going to blow up the train, going to blow up the reactor, and
the Mako reactor.
The Mako reactor, yeah. Or not the Mako reactor. I always thought it was Mako. The voice actor Barrett calls it Mako. A hard A. Mako.
Oh.
Not Mako. Mako.
Oh,
yeah.
No. What are you doing? Everything. Oh, I'm fucked. You've ruined me.
Slight point aside, it takes you through all the way to the Robot Scorpion boss battle.
The first boss. And escaping. Literally just like scene 1 or act 1. Before you go into detail, is it just doing the same moves as OG FF7?
Sort of. You're running through a lot of the same areas, but it has mixed it up very slightly. So there are sections where you're moving through the environment and you have the time running through lasers.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
There's not as much kind of, you're not Cloud kind of jumping between the pipes, moving down through the environment.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you're kind of they do put in a few kind of like timed elements. There is that vertical traversal, but they're just throwing ladders in that you can kind of go down.
So let's just put this in perspective. This is the only game I've beaten 3 times.
3 times?
Yeah, I've beaten FF7 3 times.
Okay, this is the only game that I've only beat.
Hey, you've still beat it. That's
same
a huge
fucking
achievement.
thing. Like,
yeah. I think
So-
I've done FF7 original twice. I think I ran through it as a kid, and just ran through all the way to the end and beat the final boss. I mean, can we spoil? Can we?
No,
I was going to say, can we spoil games because it's now a new product again?
No, it's fine. Fuck off and die if you don't get to this remake. It's called remake.
I go all the way through, beat Sephiroth, and the next time I played, the second time I completed it, I did all of the weapons, all of the additional bosses. I got all of the materia. I leveled it all up. I did absolutely everything
did
possible.
you
I
do
got gold
that?
chocobo.
Yeah, oh god, that's
Got Knights of the Round. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Stuck that into a combined slot that when you cast it, it cast 4 times.
Yeah. 4x materia, the best one.
Yeah, absolutely. To get back onto the idea of the materia in this game, yes, you can do abilities, so you can cast like fire, and Cloud has a fire materia equipped. And actually, as a very, very small detail, on the Buster Sword, there are 2 circles towards the hilt, and one of them, the fire materia is equipped in.
Ooh.
And the game is full of so many little details like that. The boards in the train station have actual times on. There's so many. Yeah, there's so many small details like that. You could spend absolutely ages just in this demo going around and looking at each of the different elements,
Right.
and just saying, "Oh, look how well this is textured. Look how well this is lit. Look at the detail they've put into this."
This is actually my big worry is that like it's episodic, and I think it's going to be like 10 episodes.
So
like-
I think from memory, what I've read
It's called RAM.
is that this will take you out of Midgar. So
Yeah,
the
point
first
is, like-
section is just Midgar.
yeah, but
I would imagine then. So I would think, or I would imagine at most,
but
you're looking
Midgar
at
is-
4 episodes.
No, because disc 1 of FF7, halfway through you get out of Midgar.
Yeah. It takes you to Golden Saucer, doesn't it? Disc 1.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But like, then you're looking at 6-ish.
Yeah, but it's very much going to depend on what they do. Whether this is a 10-hour experience, a 30-hour experience, what
But
you
it
can
can't-
do
it can't be
within
10,
that, like
right? Because no one's gonna buy the second episode for full price. Like it's a full price disc. Like, nostalgia be damned. The Generation Z people don't have nostalgia, and they are
Sure.
they're the people with the money who can buy multiple. My worry is kind of that it's gonna be too many episodes because they're kind of setting it up that way.
well,
But
and
actually, what I want, I'm gonna be honest. What I kind of want to do is just play FF7 again. I don't even care about it. Like
you can do that right now.
I can, and I might. Like I might in the. Like I might. I'm. I think what's gonna happen is I play that fucking remake demo, and then I'm gonna be like, fuck it, I'm just gonna Twitch stream OG FF7, and that's just who I'm gonna be. And Cloud doesn't have fingers, and he's got his boxy hands, and that's fine. And Aerith's gonna die, and that's fine. Because
Don't say that.
She's gonna die in like a year and a half. We know she's gonna die. That's what we know. But these episodes are coming out so infrequently that we have to wait for her to fucking die. And then what? Like in 2025, Yuffie steals your materia. Fuck that. That's too long. No, I just want to play this game again.
Well, again, it depends how faithful to the original game they are. Are they going to fuck around with Sid and the spaceship? Are you going to fuck around in the mansion with Vincent? Like, what are they actually
Vincent's
going to?
Not in this game.
Oh no,
I'm
he'll be in it.
Angry.
He'll be in the game, but it's knowing kind of whether you're going through those same motions.
So my fear is that there's going to be an entire episode which is just ruby and emerald weapons,
and that's it. Where do they throw these things in?
Pay $25 or pounds to fight the weapons, and it's like, well, I want to do that because
no one's going to do that. No one's going to do that. Well, like 10 people maybe, but
I'm pretty sure Square aren't gonna.
No, I actually have a lot of faith in them.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I've seen of this demo, they have a fundamental understanding of what people like about this game. What you've told me of this demo now is yeah, no, makes sense. That's where I would cut these lines. I have a worry that the stupid plot, which is just objectively there are stupid points of it, but when I learned about this plot, boy was I impressionable as a youth. So I don't care. And I think they will have in the later episodes they'll have a challenge, which is nostalgia assholes like us want no real changes, and everyone else is I want a good plot, because the overall plot's good, but there are moments which aren't great, and that whole Red 13 arc isn't, and the suit boys rude aren't great.
Sith.
Yeah.
They're not great.
The suit boys, fucking what's his face, Reno and
Reno, that's his name. Yeah. But
Final Fantasy
that's
VII
probably
has
the
best
worst
storyline.
Yeah,
it has the best storyline of all the Final Fantasies, and has the best kind of ability attributes with the materia and stuff in any Final Fantasy. The only thing that it was lacking, in my eyes, was fidelity. Obviously the graphics, and maybe the fighting battles and stuff. And it seems like they've changed the fighting up a little.
Yeah,
and I'm really looking forward to use the summon stuff like that with the new fighting system.
Don't expect any summons in the demo.
Yeah, I mean, there's no summons in the early.
No, absolutely, there's not. No, and it's very faithful to the original game in terms of what your kind of abilities are. But the combat system is very different. That is the biggest difference with these games.
Actually, can you? So I've played FF15. I've played FF7. And the selling point was it's somewhere in the middle. So if you could, so
you can, and I haven't played it a second time. I want to go back and play it a second time because you can play it in what's called classic mode, where you have the weight ATB. Yeah. So it fills up, you then choose something to do. It fills up, you choose something to do, or you have it in the more modern what kind of originated in Final Fantasy 13 and evolved in Final Fantasy 15 kind of system, where you are constantly attacking.
You're constantly queuing shit up.
Yeah, no, you're not queuing. You're not queuing stuff up.
Oh, not queuing, right.
No, you're attacking, and that is face button bashing. Right. And as you attack and as you get hit, your abilities bar fills up. And I found that Cloud's filled up quicker than Barrett's, and I don't know whether that was because I was inhabiting Cloud, so I was Cloud attacking. I could switch over to Barrett, but I don't know on terms of how quickly their abilities filled up was dependent on who you were, but basically once your ability fills up, you can then do something. So you can open up the menu, and you can either do like a special move, you can do some magic, or you can use an item. And that kind of it seems a little bit like limiting. So you can't just go like magic, you know, constantly. It's a very good middle ground between the original system, I think, and then a more modern approach to things. So you can attack, yes, and you're hitting with the sword, but you're not doing a huge amount of damage. It's those abilities that you kind of want to hit that bar,
yeah,
and then use an ability.
I mean, FF7 was also they tried to transition between purely turn-based to ATB.
Yeah.
Where when you, like, if you took longer to make a decision, other timers kept going.
Sure.
And
yeah.
Fundamentally, most people were like, no, I want turn-based. But I find that, so you saying this just reminded me that, like, actually, back in, 1997? Like, this game was exactly trying to, like, help people transition in this way. And because of its status, it's still trying to help people transition in this way.
Yeah.
And that's super interesting, right? Because, like, there were 2 modes on battles in FF7. Like, because one was old school Final Fantasy, and the other was like, what if you needed to be more twitchy? And then now what you're telling me is they're doing the same thing, which is, but instead it's like, what if you want to be more like FF7, or what if you want to be more modern?
Yeah, and absolutely, they have rolled with with the moves that the industry has made, and definitely adapted this to a much more modern sort of setting, a modern element to it. Absolutely, and it works. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I like how I felt that I had to switch between characters as well. So you had some enemies which were kind of ranged, and I'm like, well, Cloud can't reach them, so let me turn into Barrett, and Cloud
really
will kind of just AI himself around and do what he can.
So that's actually one of the things that that just wasn't a nuance in FF7, was like, there was a mild notion of frontline, backline, but it kind of didn't matter, because your guy would just run. So I'm super pumped to, like, try and experience more nuanced mechanics of, like, look, that Cloud motherfucker has a sword. Barrett has a gun. They will be better in different circumstances.
Yeah, and it does lean into
and
that,
Tifa
which is good, which is really good.
Has boxing gloves on. She's just not going to be able to fucking hurt people in a certain way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's going to play a lot into how you then build your party. A lot of us will kind of, if we haven't played Final Fantasy VII for a while, we will still have an understanding and know kind of what's coming. There's a boss at some point which is like a big wall when you go to the temple at some point that moves back and forward. Are they going to keep that crazy kind of shit? After the reactor's blown and you're making your way, or after the plate in Midgar has fallen and you're making your way back through the ruins, are they just going to have that boss that's like a monster that lives in a house? Who fucking knows? Is all of that crazy shit going to be in there? Okay, yeah, exactly. I mean, I hope it's just as crazy as the original, but they do seem to be doing a lot of stuff to kind of ground it in a more modern setting, but also in a kind of a bit more realistic sort of setting. So yes, Barrett is better in some situations where you have to fire at enemies in the distance. Cloud is much better, kind of, head on type thing. Yeah.
So, given that the whole point, it seems like they're spending the entire episode in Midgar. We have those, like, throwaway characters which spend if you like play through FF7 in a strong way, these people just aren't like within 5 hours they're just dead to the world.
Well,
did you get a notion of like more character development for these other characters?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot more lines for like Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse, who are kind of like the three Avalanche members.
And I was like,
they have a lot
those
more
people,
lines.
the people who just after you go to that last train station, they don't matter anymore. Those people, yeah.
Well, they so in Final Fantasy VII, in the original they die.
Spoilers again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You said,
you leave
they
them.
might not die this way.
You leave them behind in the reactor. I think Jessie gets crushed, and you leave her.
I thought she got stuck in a.
Well, no. I don't know.
At some
I don't
point,
remember, but
the female
you
character gets trapped in like, my foot is stuck in this like.
Yeah, under some rubble, under a bit of steel.
Like, really?
Yeah, and it's like, see ya, bye, thanks, thanks for your help. I'm going to leave you there.
What happens is you then go down the stairs and you're like, I need to help this person on the way up, and then when you hit the reactor, you're like, oh fuck, it's Sephiroth, and then you forget this person existed.
Yeah. But they, I mean, yes, they all have expanded dialogue. You occasionally get to points where you hit a door, and then one of them is opening the door, and you can chat to them. So they just give you additional lines of dialogue, that aren't kind of in the original game.
Right.
So they do expand on those characters a little bit as well. Which, again, kind of, you play through Final Fantasy VII, Midgar is this length of time.
Yeah.
Now with all of these extra bits, and I can understand your worry out of where it just expands and expands and expands. So, what was previously kind of like a, 8-hour section, 6-hour section, is now a 15, 16-hour experience. So,
yeah, I was going to say I really can't wait to play it. I'm super excited, but my only issue is like episodes, and should I wait for all more to come out, or should I do it bit by bit?
Yeah,
I think you'll be waiting a long time.
So this is actually one of my problems with...
And you'll have to own a PlayStation 5, probably.
But, it's not that I don't want to play this remake. It's not that I don't want to have this experience. But actually, this is one of my favorite games of all time. And what I want to do is play the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And functionally, that means I might want to just buy it all at once.
Yeah.
And... that's not how they're selling it. That sucks, right? Because it's not that I'm saying don't expand the universe, don't have episodes, but what I'm saying is actually what I want to do is this exceptionally great storyline that is the reason why it's my favorite Final Fantasy. Isn't available to me. And it won't be for a long time. So maybe I wait?
See, I'd be happy buying the first episode, then if they release the second one at the tail end of the year in autumn, and then the next one in spring. So I play the first episode and then buy the other two in spring when they're both out, and do it that way. If it's like 2 a year, I'll be fine with that.
Yeah, I guess it's that struggle of, I get you have to do these things in stages, but I'm pumped, but not so pumped that... So I think, episode 1 I'm going to buy, but I wouldn't be surprised if once I get a notion of the scope of episode 2, I just don't.
Sure. Yeah, and then you wait for the rest of it.
Unless the gameplay is fucking exceptional.
But also,
what I want is to play this story again, and what you're going to sell me is not the whole thing.
Another point of looking at it is if you buy episode 1 and you just basically max out all your carrots, just going around fighting.
Oh, you just grind.
In episode 1. So episode 2 and 3 when you do go and buy it, you're gonna ace it. You're gonna...
Yeah.
I didn't think that. I mean, yeah.
I would imagine there's a level cap.
Oh, that will be weird. But no, you're right, because like a standard FF move is, oh, I can't. If I don't want to go to new area, I can just grind to whatever. And you're right. Like they need to not let you do that, otherwise everything is stupid. Because if I can get to level 99 and I have maxed out my 4x materia with Nice to the Round, which won't be on there because obviously that blah blah blah. But like, let's just say Chocobo, first summon materia. If I max that out and have 4 times materia, which is all in Act 1 of the original FF7, I can beat most things, most bosses. That's fine. But obviously they don't want me to do that. So then, yeah,
they don't want you to play the game if they don't want you to.
Yeah.
Well, unless leveling is substantively different.
No. So, from what I've experienced so far, you know, your battles are within the world as well. They're not an instance element, so you don't get to the end of it and then have this level up screen or this experience level up kind of screen. I saw that they were leveling up kind of just in text on the side. It kind of, as I beat an enemy within the world, it just said, "This, you have beaten this, you have gained this much experience, you have gained this much gil. Cloud hit level 8. Like, okay, cool. Like, what has that kind of like done for me? And it didn't really explain anything.
Right.
I didn't explore, because I was just playing it through and I just wanted to keep playing it. I didn't even think to myself like, oh, I could probably go into the menus and have a look at all of this stuff and see what they've got equipped and look at these kinds of things, because the original Final Fantasy VII relied on those menu systems. You know, you're hammering through menus in the combat, you're going through menus to change everything out. This was a lot more fluid in keeping you in that world, not having you access stuff quite as much as the original. So I didn't even bother like pausing it and looking through the menu system. So knowing, you know, what my HP was because I'd leveled up, or swapping out an accessory, you know, which I don't think you can do in the demo. I didn't pick any items up or anything like that to use in that way. But that kind of stuff will come at some point. But I can only assume that they will have to do some kind of limit, some kind of cap on it. So, as you say, Carl, you can't just reach level 99 and be, you know, 9,999 HP and just one-shot everything for the next 3 episodes or whatever they're going to kind of have come up. They are going to need some kind of limit in place, I would think. So it'd be interesting to see
some sort of
how
limit
that plays out. Yay! Yeah, but you should both play it. It is fun. It shows off the tech really well, and it is a good way to kind of limit expectations in a sense. You will know a little bit more kind of what you're getting into, what the combat's going to be like, what the world feels like, how you move around it. You know, we're not fixed point cameras moving through an environment and the camera kind of pans. It is third person, like over the, not even over the shoulder, it's kind of the camera is back here rather than it being sort of to the side or something. It is right behind, so you're still, you know, still third person, but there's those slight changes, and playing the demo very much showcases those changes. So yeah, you should both absolutely jump on it at your earliest convenience, I suppose would be the way to say. Right, let's finish there for the evening. But Carl, you had a third beer.
I did.
You did crack the Brewdog open.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it's really nice. Smooth, rich. I can't taste any alcohol, which is dangerous for a 9%. It's probably why it's a nitro beer.
Yeah.
Quite well. Quite a lot of coffee on Not as dry or astringent as you would expect
Mm.
from a stout. Tastes like it's probably got a bit of lactose in, or like a lot of residual sugar just to kind of sweeten it up as a bit.
Yeah.
But it's actually really nice.
Is it as it's a nitro beer? Is there something in the can?
No, there's no widget or anything.
Okay.
It looks like it's been pumped with nitrogen. That's all.
Right.
But yeah, really nice can. I mean, for £3, you can't really in Tesco. Can't really knock that can.
I mean, yeah. Where else are you going to get 9% for £3?
That tastes really good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty impressed with it, to be fair.
Nice. Is it? I know you said you had one of the other ones that had come out.
Yeah.
And
I'm not going to say a bit disappointed, but I was expecting a little bit more from the Modern Times Brewdog collaboration.
Yeah.
The West Coast one. It didn't really stick to the whole West Coast kind of vibe.
Sure.
It was more like a East meets West IPA. It was very fruity and not bitter. I was expecting a lot more bitter.
Yeah.
But
again, as a supermarket offering,
you
kind of maybe expect they pull back on kind of elements like that.
Exactly. I mean, if I spent say £4.50 for it in an independent, I'll probably be like, okay, this is a bit crap. But for £3 in the supermarket, it's I think it's because of the West Coast IPA. It's not a bad beer at all, but it's just not. It's not that style of beer.
Sure.
If they just labelled it IPA and then waxed it out, no one would have. I don't think that many people would mind that. But it's good. I mean, the amount of Brewdog beers that are out in Tesco at the minute is quite a lot, but
kind of laughable.
Pretty good. Yeah. So, but it's offering beer to that consumer that's not really fully invested or going to independent bottle shops to try something new. It's that consumer that does the weekly shop and just wants to pick up a small couple of cans of beer or four that take down to your mates or whatever. And he does that pretty well. Good.
So we'll stick with you, Carl. Out of the beers you've had this evening, do you have a preference?
Of course, I'm going to go for the Salopian one, but that's just biased.
Makes sense.
But But if I pick out of all three of them, very good tonight. To be honest with you, the best bitter, Mccoll's best bitter, Brewdog, Nitro, Salopian. It felt like I needed every single one of them different stuff rather than
Yeah, I know you said sort of when you cracked open the Salopian, because it was in that 500ml bottle, you kind of put forward that could kind of do you for the evening, but I think it just opened you up a little bit more, didn't it, really? To sort of think, no, actually, I am up for a few more things, which is brilliant for kind of any beer, when you can start on something and think, oh no, this has hit those notes, and I want to keep going.
Sometimes you kind of want a little journey with your beer. At night, you kind of want to go through different senses. I think basically because I've been ill, I want to try a lot of different things to wake up my body a little bit more. For the past couple of times I've been drinking and not craft lager, but kind of one-dimensional lager kind of thing. So to try something different tonight is kind of like, okay, yeah, my taste buds are trying to get there again.
Yeah, yeah. Good. I think my only advice is a shot of Jägermeister before bed for the next week. It will sort you straight out. Aadil. Right, Aadil. What was your preference this evening, if you have
My
one?
preference was the Yonder Goose Goza.
Okay.
Honestly, it comes down to nuance. Like, they both were like marginal, like beers that were close to a thing that if you weren't familiar with, maybe this would be okay. And the Czech Ignition by Lost and Grounded was just a little too plain for my taste. Like,
Okay.
Again, like, it says raspberry and coconut porter, but honestly, it was just like a generic coffee porter. There just wasn't a lot going on, and that's what sort of was underwhelming for me. While the Yonder Goose was, the gooseberry was more sweet than I was expecting for a Goza, but it had those layers, and like that sweetness worked fine, and it worked fine. Like, it was a very interesting dynamic beer. And so again, neither of those beers were doing something remarkable or out of the ballpark for what they were claiming to be, but they also both were trying to, like, for lack of a better term, they were like, hey, if you're not used to this, this is a good entry point.
Sure.
And the Goose by Yonder was just, it's a good beer. If I wanted a Goza that had something that I wasn't expecting, works. Wanted a Goza, works. If I didn't know what a Goza was, works. And the Czech Ignition was kind of like, hey, what if a porter tastes like coffee and has a slight sweetness? And I'm just, honestly, it comes down to that raspberry just wasn't there, and it just doesn't, it didn't do enough things in that space to make it worth saying, yes, it's a porter at 5.4%, and it's doing these interesting things on sweetness. It's just like, it's kind of just a coffee porter.
Sure.
And, I was hoping for more.
Sure. Yeah. I think for me the Atom did do that little bit more this evening. A coffee porter which gave me other little sort of nuanced elements and allowed the coffee to kind of shine and then take a back seat to allow other things to come in and affect that flavour and change it up enough that the finish, whilst was still the coffee, had those other elements just present enough that it had changed that kind of that first flavour. I think the more I drank it, the more that they kind of showed through. Right. The Oat IPA from Polly's is a nice IPA, very easy drinking, but whilst it is kind of in a similar sort of way to the coffee porter, it kind of gives you that flavour and then just allows that to disappear, with the Atom throwing in some additional kind of things and having a little bit more nuance to it, and it just picks it, I think, for me this week. And the Atom was called Critical Temperature. But both very, very good beers, and again, they're both lighter than I normally have on the podcast. Both around 5%. No, both around sort of. The Critical Temperature was 5.5, and the Polly's was 5.8. So both kind of lower. They're not super low, but they're kind of both lower for kind of what I drink normally. But they still had a good amount of flavour in them. They were still showcasing, I think, especially the coffee porter, really pushing through that coffee and saying, look, this is what we can do with this. These are kind of these extra little bits we're throwing in with this just to pick it up from that standard kind of coffee porter. There are these elements, you can kind of pick them out. I think, Carl, when you mentioned lime, I think had you not have said it, I'm not sure I would have picked it out. I would have picked out something else, maybe kind of like instead of lime, and thought, oh, there is something else going on here, but I'm not quite able to put my finger on it. That's, I think, kind of how sort of nuanced it is. And I'm like, there is something here. There's something else going on. It's pulling away from this coffee very slightly. And as soon as you start, I'm like, yes, that is exactly what it is. But it whilst it didn't, or at least my palate didn't pick out of that, it wasn't that apparent to me. It was, I think, as I said, kind of as I was tasting it, the extra flavours, the chocolate and the lime are very much there to support that coffee, just to lift it very slightly and allow you to just have that kind of coffee experience all the way through, but changing just a little bit. So, yeah, very, very well made beers for me this week.
Excellent.
Yeah, I kind of want another one now.
Always the case.
And I could very easily drink another can of this Critical Temperature right now.
5 beers.
And just continue the coffee porter night. But I won't, because I don't have another one, so I can't. We'll finish there for this evening. Carl, if people want to chat to you, if they want to talk to you about beers, if they want to chat to you about Salopian, about Final Fantasy VII, if they want to give you their home remedies on how to feel good, how do they do that?
Well, I've just changed my username on Twitter now, so I'm not that big on anymore. So I'm Marshall R. Carl. So literally my name backwards.
Yeah. Not fully backwards.
Not fully backwards, no.
Yeah.
No. Right way backwards.
No, yeah. Nice. And Twitter's the best place for people to get you.
Yeah. I've got an Instagram as well, but that link's on Twitter. But yeah, Twitter's the best place.
Cool. Yeah.
Nice. Aadil, how do people get hold of you?
I'm at the Omniarch on all the things except Twitch, where I'm the _Omniarch, and it doesn't matter because I don't Twitch.
Unless you do fancy going back to Final Fantasy VII Original and just spending your next, 2 weeks playing that non-stop.
Yeah, that's fair.
I am at Nova_47 on Twitter and PSN. We are at Tanked Up Cast on Twitter, on Instagram. You should probably all go to outoflives.net to read the articles that Carl's putting up, look at the videos that are also going up on our YouTube page and on our Facebook page of me playing lots of different experiences in Dreams, or go to outlives.net and YouTube to see our beautiful faces and look at the beers that we have poured this evening as we hold them up to the camera for you. Otherwise, get us on your podcast service of choice, and remember, you can always rate and review us. Always. Carl's doing it for you. Go to YouTube, go to outoflives.net to see the beautiful can art of all of the different beers we have had this evening as they float in the ether. But that is it for us this week. We have been Tanked Up. That's a floating bottle. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
www.outoflives.net